Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. My name is Sharon and this is a channel that is dedicated to all things related to narcissism. In today's video, I want to talk a little bit about parental alienation. I'm going to begin by giving you a definition that I found online and then I'll give you my own version of it. So it's when one parent intentionally displays to the child unjustified negativity aimed at the other parent. So essentially, it is when one parent unnecessarily something for a reason that isn't true, distorts facts to turn the child against a parent who doesn't deserve it. So when one parent turns the other parent against the child for no cause, just because they have their own vendetta, that's parental alienation. Now, I know parental alienation is a big deal for people in narcissistic situations, either side, whether you're the narcissist or the non-narcissist, because this happens. Narcissists are known to turn their children away from a good parent because that's what they like to do. They like to be cruel. They like to hurt people. And that's one thing that they do. They want the child just to themselves. And then, of course, there are people that aren't narcissists who are so angry at the narcissist, they turn their child against the narcissist as well. Both of those are parental alienation. Now, in today's video, I want to talk to you a little bit about that in regards to my situation. But before I get into that, I want to just give you guys a little rundown. My kids saw everything. They heard everything. They were there every single day. Narcissists aren't worried about the kids. They don't keep their rages down so the kids don't hear. They don't cease a silent treatment on you so the kids aren't afraid. No, the only one who matters to the narcissist is the narcissist. My ex began his epic, obscene, disgusting, and loud collapse in full view of his then 12 and 15-year-old children. They were home when the police banged on the door in the middle of the night to inform me that my husband, their father, was being loaded into an ambulance right now because he was found passed out in his car in front of my house with a loaded firearm and dozens of bullets. They were there several times when I had to call the cops, yet again because he got abusive and wouldn't leave. They were there when he banged his head on the wall while screaming that I was hurting him. And during that incident, my then 13-year-old son was screaming at my ex to please just stop. And this is one of those pivotal moments. It's in my head. I remember it clearly. I can see my son, the fear, the horror on his face, begging his father, please, why can't you just stop, please? He was screaming at him. My daughter was home alone with me when my ex broke into the house and he proceeded to speak to her in a voice that wasn't his. Now, this had happened to me as well with my ex. He spoke to me in a voice that wasn't his. My daughter also witnessed it. She'll tell you today it's the scariest thing that has ever happened to her. This person, her father, broke into the house. When I told him to leave, he started speaking to Paris, and it wasn't his voice. Now, when I say that, I don't mean he had an accent. You guys know I have trained myself not to speak with a Boston accent, but I could if I wanted to. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about suddenly he had a southern drawl or speaking in a British accent. No, this was somebody who had a different voice. Can you do that? Like, think about that. Can you change your voice? I don't think anybody can change their voice. Only put an accent on. The actual voice, we heard him do this. Both kids were home when the lies they knew their father told brought CPS, Child Protective Services, to our door. He lied and told the police that I was abusing him. The kids knew it wasn't true. This stemmed from the night that he banged his own head against the wall. He told the police I picked him up, me, and threw him into the wall. You guys. My ex is literally pushing 300 pounds. I'm like in the low hundreds. There's no chance that I could pick him up even if I wanted him, even if I wanted to. The police even said that. And this is for another video because I think there does have to be some discretion with the police. I mean, some of the things that they allow to go on are ridiculous. But in this case, the police told me they knew I didn't do it, but the allegation was still there, so they had to do a Child Protective Services investigation on me. This didn't involve the kids, but it was because an allegation of abuse that happened in that house was put forth, and therefore Child Protective Services must investigate. They knew that all their father had to do was retract what he said, and they wouldn't have to go through this hell. I was the one that had to tell the kids. Now, I didn't think this was going to happen, but I've always been very honest and open with my kids. I had to tell them that there was a chance that this woman was going to take them out of the house. I told them I'd get them back. I told them they could stay, with a relative or friends. I believed that that was accurate, but I had to tell them there was this chance. It was terrifying. They knew their father could take it back. And in fact, my ex said to me that if the kids got taken out of the house, then he would tell them that he lied. But he didn't want to tell them that he lied before that happened, because it's probably going to be fine. Nothing's going to happen, but he could get in trouble for filing a false police report. He was worried about himself. It didn't matter that the kids were terrified. My kids witnessed supernatural events in that house as well. The walls crying. Literally, I had in the middle of my wall, just in the center of my wall, teardrops came down. The walls were crying in my house. There were big puddles by my ex's desk, puddles that stunk. I told the story last week about what happened with my son when he was in the office at my ex's desk. So we had this bonus room in the house, and we called it the schoolroom / office because I homeschool my kids. So I guess I just homeschool my son now, Paris in college, but so I homeschool my kids in that room. So it was the schoolroom, but my ex also had a desk in there. So one day my son was sitting at that desk and he was watching TV, and he saw a pencil cup out of the corner of his eye close to the edge of the desk. So he pushed it back, but he was still watching TV. And he's like, and then the pencil cup was back where it was when I had first pushed it. He's like, so I was so confused. So this time he's like, I watched it the whole time. He's like, so I took the pencil cup. Now, guys, just for reference, this was a plastic pencil cup with a few pencils in it. This was not like a granite, huge, bowl of pencils that would be hard for anyone to move. It was just a little plastic cup. He couldn't move it. He told me he could feel resistance on the other end. He couldn't see anything, but he could feel that somebody or something was pushing against that pencil cup. And I can remember this day when this happened. He left the room. He was very upset. He kind of told me what happened, but he was so distraught. I didn't even want to ask him too much about it. It wasn't really until he told me later, I guess it was about a year ago, he told me, and I talked to him about it recently, a few weeks ago as well. That was the scariest thing that's ever happened to him. Both my kids had horrific, scary events occur in that house with my ex. This is the type of thing that my kids have dealt with. This is what they've seen, and this is just some of the things off the top of my head. Now, earlier in the week on Monday, I posted something and I got a negative comment on it. I got 2 negative comments. It wasn't really that negative actually, but one of them, someone said they were unsubscribing because I posted now this is what I've done on my channel. I've always been very honest with you guys. I tell you really how it is, the good, the bad, and the ugly. If it makes me look bad, I still put it out there. On this particular day, on Monday, every Monday, my ex sends the kids an email. Now let me just give you a little synopsis of the kids, what's going on with them with their father. The 3 of us are no contact. No contact is the accepted way, the best way for most people to move forward and get away from the narcissist, to heal. If you still have a connection with the narcissist, it's going to be very, very difficult for you to heal. The narcissist, essentially, they need to be, gone. It's almost they're not living anymore. That's kind of the best way for you to really move forward. Now, I know not everybody can do that. For my kids and I, we have had, now my kids are older, they're 16 and 19. We've had many conversations about this. They saw everything. They saw it all. So it's not like they didn't see this and that their father was always good to them. This was somebody who abused them terribly. They witnessed him abusing me as well. He stole all their money. He took all their money. He gave up his child. All right, now he has the one minor child. I call them my kids now because they don't have a father. Joe is their father. They don't have a biological father. So my son is the minor. He kind of went through the divorce with me. My daughter was older. She was 18 and 19 during the divorce, so she wasn't involved in this. My son was. So we went through this together, and it was horrible for him. There was always this fear that my ex, he kept threatening he was going to cause this problem or that problem, or try to force us to New Hampshire, have my son be interviewed. My ex accuses me of parental alienation. He doesn't understand that the kids don't want to be with him or see him because of the things he did. My kids witnessed all of this. Parental alienation is when it's done unjustifiably. I never told my children that they can't have a relationship with their father. In fact, I asked them if they wanted to have a relationship. They do not, neither one. So during the divorce, my ex ended up giving up his child to me. He gave up his minor child as if my son is a cat or a dog. It's written down. I don't have his signature signing it, but apparently I'm divorced. So, and that's another whole story for another day. I still haven't gotten anything in the mail, but apparently he would have had to sign this. And it's pretty vicious when it comes to my son. It says something along the lines of, and I can read you the exact wording of it later, or if somebody's interested, let me know, and I can do that. I'll do it on the community page. I'll show you what it says. It says something like along the lines of, father admits he has no relationship with his minor child. Mother will encourage all attempts at reconciliation. There will be no visitation. There will be no phone. There will be no Christmas, no birthday, no holidays. It literally states everything that he's allowed. The only thing my ex is allowed to do is one time a week email the child. So one time a week, and he does it on Mondays. He emails the kids. Now we started doing this in the summer. Guys, we're closing in on 3 years since he's even seen the kids, since he's heard the kids' voices, since he's had any contact with them. He didn't want contact until he found out that I left. Then suddenly at that point, now he had been 2 years, remember, prior to that, 2 years where he didn't do anything. He voluntarily gave up contact with his children. He didn't get them birthday gifts, Christmas gifts, nothing. This is all on his own. We just lived our life. We lived our life. Once I was gone and he knew there was no hope for our marriage, then he started saying that I had alienated the children. Now think about that. If your kids don't want something to do with you because you are violent and abusive and you freaked them out, scared them, and you have never tried to make it better, you have never said, I am so sorry. I recognize I have this particular problem. I want to let you know that I'm going to therapy. I'm doing whatever it is I'm doing. I'm working on myself because I love you. And I want you to know how much I want to have a relationship with you. He's never said something like that. He started contacting the kids after he was allowed to this summer. And what he said was along the lines of, hey, nothing happened. No time passed. He had seen them yesterday. Hey, how's it going? How are those Red Sox? How's school? Is it going good? Are you still in school? Did you graduate? I mean, this is the type of thing he's saying in the emails, right? Like nothing happened. The kids didn't want any contact with him. So they put these in their junk folder, right? If you call somebody, if you block someone on a phone, you don't know the other person called. If you try to block someone on email, you still get the email, but it goes to your junk folder. So my son has them in his junk. He periodically deletes everything, and that's it. My daughter does the same thing, but she reads them. So she told me that, on Monday I asked her if she had gotten an email from him, and she's kind of rolled her eyes and said, of course. So her email, and I posted it on the community page because it particularly annoyed me. It said something along the lines of, hi Paris, I hope you're doing well. I'm doing really well. It's a busy and hectic time right now. He said he's on some committee in AA, and they're having some big event in New Hampshire, and he's involved in this, and it's so exciting. At the same time, in real life, you guys, he cost my children and myself over $100,000, more than that, really, because he refused to sell the house he was supposed to, and we lost. My real estate agent told me that if he had put the house on when he was supposed to, it would have sold for about $200,000 more in a weekend than we were even putting it on the market for. As it is, that house sold for $250,000 less than it could have. I still have to pay my ex's credit card debt. All this comes out of my kids. What I don't have, my kids don't have. So this is this person. He's causing us all this pain, all this trauma. He threw away what was left in that house, the kids' stuff. He doesn't have any connection. He does, like he has never said ever, you know what, like to me, even Sharon, I know I was a rotten dad. I stole the kids' money. I don't have a lot of money right now, but I'm going to give you $50 a month, $100 a month. Please put this aside for the kids. I'm so sorry. I have life insurance. If something happens to me, I want the kids to benefit. He has $1 million life insurance policy. His parents benefit. He won't do anything for his kids. He gives my son the minimum in child support with the requirement that he gets to claim him on taxes for the 2 of the next 3 years. He gets to claim him on taxes, my son. He wants nothing to do with him. He stole his money. He took our family and just threw it away in the trash. We are starting over. We're trying to live our life. And so, yeah, my kids and I, we sometimes laugh about it. We sometimes laugh about things that have happened because it works for us. It's how we can heal. So when I got that, when Paris showed me that email, I was disgusted. I was like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. It's all about him. It's never about the kids. It's never what do they need? What do they want? I love my children. I would do anything for my children. Same with Joe. I love Joe. I love his kids. My family is everything to me. I am not now, nor have I ever tried to keep someone good away from my children, but I do protect my children from bad things. Just like we tell our kids when they're younger, don't get into a car with a stranger, right? Don't take candy from strangers. Don't answer the door if, we're not home, or if we're in the shower, don't answer the door. Don't answer the phone, unless, like somebody's home, or that type of thing we tell our kids, right? To protect them, to keep them safe. I recently took Paris and Joe's youngest to we went to a gun safety class because Joe's son is thinking about going into the military, his youngest, and Paris and I are into firearms as well. I have one to protect myself. I have 2 to protect myself, and Joe's youngest is excited about that. So we went to the range, took a class to be safe, because I want good things for my children. I have 2 bonus children now, so I'll say for my 4 children, I want good things to happen to them. I don't want there to be anything bad. The things that happened with my ex destroyed my children. They saw all of it. It's their choice. If they wanted to have a relationship with their father, I would be wary about that, but I wouldn't, especially with my daughter. She's 19, you know what I mean? I don't tell her yes or no, but I would talk to her about it. And my son, I'd want to discuss this with him. If they wanted to have a relationship with their father, my requirement for that would be that they understand who he really is, that they have their expectations in a good place. I don't want them in a place where they think he's someone he isn't, and then they could get hurt. My ex tried to hurt us. He showed up at the house with a loaded gun. Another time, the night our relationship ended, when I kicked him out of the house and he tried to get me arrested, I found out a week later that he hadn't been paying any bills. What does that mean for my children and I? What was he going to do? How many times have you heard about people who, they annihilate their family? And it's not always, but usually because it's usually the dad has all these financial secrets the wife doesn't know, and he just unalives everybody in the house because that's what's best for him, because he's too much of a wimp to admit what he's done. My ex is like that. He tried to hurt us. We were saved by the grace of God. We ran away in the middle of the night to escape this thing that was harassing us, scaring us, frightening us. When I tell you he took a massive collapse, he had a massive collapse. A psychiatrist told me that he was likely psychotic. I believe that there is a spiritual warfare element when you're dealing with a narcissist, that there's an evil, that there's something like my son, when he was trying to push that pencil jar back, there was something unseen there. And the things I told you were just things that my kids saw. I saw things that they didn't see. There were other supernatural things that I saw, that I experienced. It's real. So I'm not going to encourage my children to have a relationship with somebody who has put us in danger, who has hurt us, who has not accepted responsibility, who continues to hurt us. Just yesterday, I got an email, and I'll tell you something that Joe said about this. A couple things Joe said. I got an email yesterday from my ex, And it was a rude email. My ex doesn't have my phone number. He got his lawyer involved last week. He contacted my attorney saying he was going to put me in contempt of court because I didn't provide my my phone number. No, I never told him I was providing my phone number. So my attorney was like, no, you're not getting the phone number. So then he sends me this email yesterday that I'm being rude and it's wrong of me to not give him the phone number, that the real estate agent, it's not fair for the real estate agent. The way it is, the house is selling. So we have a real estate agent, and my ex and I both go through the real estate agent. So the real estate agent will say, get an offer on the house, tell my ex, and then what do you want to do? What do you want to do? And we both get back to him. According to my ex, that's very rude of me, and he thinks I'm being too bitter and I should get rid of my bitterness because he wants to have, be able to talk to me about the house. It was so rude, you guys. Joe was like, oh God. He's like, you know what? I can't if I ever see this guy. And then he's like, you know what? Listen to me, Sharon. He's like, we got to put this away. We can't be talking about this now. We saw it. We know what it says. We know who he is. He's like, they can get to us. The vileness, it attaches to us. It's like tentacles coming out of the email. He's like, we got to just let it go. Joe and I used to have, I don't want to say it wasn't really a disagreement, but a difference of opinion. My kids call their father by his first name. And Joe used to think that, oh, does it really have to be that way? It is their dad. And then one day, one of his youngest got hurt by his youngest was upset by something his mother did, Joe's ex. And he said to me, you know what? I understand it now. I get it. They have no business being around this person. They need to stay the F away. They need to stay away. They don't need to be around this person. This thing, all he's going to do is hurt them. He has hurt them. Look what he's done to them. We're starting over with nothing because of him. My ex still has a six-figure job. He refuses to even let my kids benefit if something happens to him. He won't even put them in life insurance. He won't give my older daughter a dime, nothing, not one thing. He only wants the kids to be in his life because it's what he wants, not because he's trying to be a good father, not because he's trying to co-parent with me, but because he just, I don't even know why, actually, because the reality is he's never fought. So I don't even know how serious he is, or if it's just easier for him, or it makes him sleep better at night to think that it's me, that I took the kids away from him. Because I can tell you right now, if my kids weren't speaking to me, there is no way I would pretend it wasn't happening. It would be important to me to take care of my family and to let my kids know they love me. And if I did something wrong, if I messed up big time, I would want them to know how sorry I was that I was working on this. These are some of the things that have happened to my family. So when I posted that, the email that he wrote to my daughter, somebody told me that they were going to unsubscribe because they had been parentally alienated and that they didn't want to see an email like that. The email was an email that was written to my daughter that she and I both were disgusted by. And on my channel, always, I have put things out there that have really happened to me. It's the good, the bad, the ugly. If it makes me look bad, it makes me look bad. If it makes, my ex look bad, it makes him look bad. But it's the way that it is. So parental alienation, I think that's a very serious situation. And I think anybody who does it, who really does it, it's horrible. It's a terrible thing. And I know many of you have suffered because of it. And I'm so sorry. In my case, though, I'm protecting my children from somebody who's dangerous. My children want to be like this with him. They don't want a relationship with him. We're moving on, and I support that. I don't support my children alienating people that are kind to them. I don't support them alienating a father who loves them and is trying to be a good person. But I do encourage somebody to alienate their parent, whoever it is, who's been violent, abusive, continues to hurt them, have stolen from them, robbed them blind, refuses to make anything right, and just because they're the father. I don't think that just because you're a father or just because you're a mother means you deserve to have your child. In the court papers, it says, the court is insane. You will encourage your child to have a relationship, if the child expresses interest. Nobody tells me what to do with my child. My child is the one that I raise. My children are my children, and I love my children. I would do anything for my children and for Joe's children. We have a new family. So 4 of us, the 6 of us, and we're trying to make something happen. We don't want to hurt anybody, but we do want to live a good life, and we don't want to encourage our children to have a relationship with people that would hurt them. So that is my little talk on parental alienation. I might talk with Joe about this weekend. I'm not sure. I want to do a video with him this weekend, so we might kind of talk about this a little bit as well. So look for that. I also still have to get my video with Paris out there. I still have that. She really wants me to put that out. So I'll be talking to you guys about that. I hope you all have a wonderful day, a great Friday, and I will talk to you I guess I'll see you on Monday in the next video, hopefully with Joe. God bless.